Mr. Beak's math class. Mr. Beak's math class. Yeah! Woo!
All right, thanks for joining me. This is Mr. Beak. Today we're going to be talking about solving equations with multiplication and division. Hopefully by the end of the day you can say you can do that. There's lots of important standards here, so let's make sure we learn it. All right. First off, I want to review a real quick from yesterday about what went wrong. And so I got a couple problems for you. In this case, I just want you to figure out, hey, something happened here. What did they do wrong? And the answer would be on this one, we want to get rid of the -4, not the +12. So they should have -4. Okay? Answer to that one. Next one. Take a look at that one real quick, number 2, and tell me, what did they do wrong? Something happened. And if you get looking, this should be a plus, right? Because the minus negative turns into a plus x. So that means that this 5 is really a positive 5. And so if I wrote a plus and a plus, that looks kind of weird. So it means we need to minus those from each side. And so 24 minus 5 gives me 19. Okay? And last but not least, tell me what went wrong on this number. Let's do number 4 there. Okay? Something is not right there. And the mistake's going to be somewhere right here with these double negatives, okay? A double negative minus a negative turns into a plus sign, and they wrote a minus sign. So they were right in doing the negative -2 to both sides, but when they did that, they should have gotten just regular b right there. And actually, I think they got this number wrong. I think that should be -9 minus 2. It should be -7 minus 2, -9. Okay? Anyways, I always got to be kind of looking and just making sure that we're showing the right steps and that we're understanding it the right way. Okay? So today, we're going to be doing with multiplication and division. Now, the thing is still the same idea as adding and subtracting. We want to get the x or the variable all by itself, right? So a lot of times if I'm doing this one, I draw the line and my goal is to get x all by itself. So we got to get rid of all the numbers that are attached to that. In this case, it's a 4. Okay? How do we get rid of a 4 when we're multiplying? Well, we do the inverse operation, which is dividing. So I'm going to divide by 4. I'm going to do that to both sides so it's fair and it's equal. And then that crosses out the 4s and gives me nice easy numbers right there. Okay? If I have a division problem, well, what's the inverse of division? It is multiply. So I'm going to multiply by 2. And I have to be fair and I have to be equal and I have to do both sides the same thing. So I times by 2 and I'm going to get x equals 6 and something like that. Okay? So it's going to get a little bit trickier, but in essence, that's all we're doing. We're doing the inverse operation. Okay? So if I had something like example number 1 with 8x equals -3, we'll just ask yourself, I draw this line just to show this half needs to be the same as that half. And so if I can visualize that and visualize, hey, I have an x all by itself there on the left. If I can just get rid of that 8, I'm looking good. So what is the opposite of multiply? Because that's what it is. It is divide. So both sides are going to get divided out. That's going to give me -3/8. I'm just going to keep it as that. If it's not like a nice solid whole number and it can't be reduced at all and stuff. Okay? Let's do a few more just to kind of get the hang of it. So lots of words there. I'm just going to go up to this problem up at the top here. X divided by -3. Well, the inverse of divide is multiply. So I'm going to multiply. And if I just multiply by 3, it will just cancel the 3. I want it to cancel the negative. So I'm also going to multiply by -3. And I'm going to do that to both sides, which gives me -180. Okay? How about, let's just go over to number 2 here. How about they try to trick us by throwing the x on the right-hand side? Well, we don't have to be worried about that. Our goal is to get the x all by itself. And so in this case, we want the x all by itself that side on the right. So how do I get rid of divided by 7? I, of course, multiply it by 7 because those are inverse operations. And so I times by 7 over here to cancel those. That gives me 42. I've got the right answer. Woohoo. All right, so shouldn't be that tricky. Hopefully we're kind of getting the hang of it. But what in the world is going to happen when I get something like negative 3/4 m equals 15? I'm going to just rewrite it here so we have it nice and big. Negative 3/4 m equals 15. Okay? Now, we have a couple different ways that we can do this and figure it out. If I just had m over 4 equals something, I would times it by 4, right? So we could do that. I could times this by 4 to both sides, and it cancels there, and now I'm at negative 3m equals, I believe that's 60. And then I have a times here, so I'm going to inverse it. I'm going to divide it, right? That is a correct way to solve it, and that will correctly give me negative 20, which is the right answer, okay? But that was 2 steps. I'm wondering, is there a way that I can cut out this middle step? And the answer is yes. I'm going to just keep our m equals negative 20 over there just so we can kind of see that. I'm going to redraw this. Negative 3/4 m. Well, if I wanted to do this in one simple step, if I just realize this is still just a number, it's negative 3/4 times m. Well, what is the inverse operation of times? It's divide. And so I'm going to divide by just negative 3/4. And if I do that just on this side, in one fell swoop, those are going to wipe each other out. And give me that 1m, which is what I wanted. And this right here, just a calculator problem if you don't know how to solve that on your own. But that's all it's going to be, and it's going to still give me that negative 20, which is what I wanted. Okay? So couple of tips for how to solve those. Let's maybe just look at 1 or 2 more. We'll call it good after these 2, okay? Number 5 is 5/9 times x. Or excuse me, 4/9 times x equals 12. So if I just gave you 4x equals 12, you would know, hey, you just got to divide by 4 and get the answer. Well, that's the exact same idea and the exact same steps. This is just a times by something, and it happens to be a fraction, but whatever. I know that 4/9 divided by 4/9 is going to cancel out and even give me just a 1x, which is what I wanted, okay? As long as I'm fair and equal and I divide by 4/9 over here, okay? And when you do, you're going to get the right number, okay? I'm just going to call it good there, punch it in our calculator, okay? Number 6, same deal. We have a 5/3 negative, but it's times x. So if I divide by 5/3 on both sides, that's awesome. I'm going to cancel the 5/3. But if I did that cancel that negative right there? I don't think it did. So in order to get rid of the 5/3 and the negative sign in one swoop, we got to just divide by negative 5/3 because that cancels those negative signs as well. And I got to do it over here, okay? And that's going to give me some number, and we're going to circle it, and we're going to call it a day, okay? So hopefully those are making sense to you. Take a look at the homework, and good luck on all that. Take care.
Mr. Beak's math class. Mr. Beak's math class.